So how to make 100K as a network engineer. Everyone wants to hit the six-figure mark, and you can 100% hit the six-figure mark with no college degree or no certification. It's 100% possible, but you have to follow this roadmap I'm about to give to you guys. The first thing you have to focus on is decide which field in tech you want to get into. And I'm assuming you're watching this video because you've already decided that you want to get into networking. Now that you've already decided that, now the next thing you should do is decide how long do you want it to take. Because you get to make it take as long as you want it to take. You say, I'm willing to wait 10 years, 30 years, whatever. But if you give yourself a shorter time, the more likely you are to hit that goal. So give yourself shorter time periods. Say, hey, I want to hit 100K within the next 2 years. And you can 100% do it, right? So here's the thing. The first thing you need to focus on is getting the skills. And I always say this in every single video. You got to get the skills. And time and time again, the skills is just basically learning how to troubleshoot, learning how to do projects, learning how to configure on a network, how to talk to vendors, how to, all these kind of things. These kind of things, like I said, I bring it all over my channel. There's a link in my description if you're interested in that. But getting the skills is the most important. Once you've acquired these skills, the number one thing you need to do is find a mentor. Or even before that, find a mentor. Right? Finding a mentor, in my opinion, is going to be the fastest way to get there. And speaking with someone who's actively making 100K per year, right, is really going to open your mind to this. Right? When you can find someone who's actively making 100K a year in networking, that's not only going to kind of open your mind to the ability that it is possible. Right? If you have this closed-minded idea like, hey, I can't make 100K a year, then you're not going to make 100K a year. Right. So let me talk about my story of how I made 100K a year as a network engineer. The first thing that happened was I got the skills. I ended up getting the CCNA, and I interviewed at a company called Charter Communications. I interviewed at Charter Communications. They ended up giving me an offer. Right. They actually got 2 offers from 2 different positions, but I ended up taking one of them for 75K per year as a network engineer. Right. And I was coming from zero IT experience. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this offer. Zero IT experience, making 75 a year, the most money I've ever made in my life. I'm taking that offer. Then I made the mistake of staying at that role because that role had incremental increases. I eventually got an increase up to a 10% increase when I got promoted. And then I also had like a small 3% increase every year in terms of performance. So I eventually after 3 years, got to 90-ish K per year. But I did not hit that 100K mark. And I made the mistake of not job hopping. That is the biggest mistake. What you want to do is you want to go to companies that pay more. Every company pays differently. You could work at one company, they pay less. You could work at another company, they pay less. But you work at this company, they pay way more. And the job activities and the role is pretty much identical. So you not going and applying for another role while you're at your current role is a big mistake. And this is where people make mistakes on, is maybe you're already making 80K, 90K per year, or you're working help desk and you're making 50, 60K. Don't get comfortable. And I made the mistake of getting comfortable and not leaving. I eventually found a mentor. And the mentor was already making a decent amount of money in tech. And I learned from him. And then he told me, hey, why don't you just leave this role and go for another role? I was like, I kind of like my job. I don't want to leave. I ended up applying for a role. I ended up applying for 2 different roles. I ended up getting 2 interviews, and I ended up passing both interviews. First one was for $45 an hour, which is an effective like 95K per year. And I got another offer, which is like 140K. And I was just like shocked because I'm making an extra 50K more from this role. And that was only because I decided to job hop. Job hopping is the best way to increase your salary in tech, right? Before job hopping, you need to find someone who can instill in you the ability for you to do it, right? And this is what for a lot of my students who I help them with, maybe they're making 50K per year and they're trying to hit 90, 100K per year. The only way to do that is to be around people in a community of people who are all striving to get there, right? And people who've already gotten there. Or I've had a student named Taiwo, right? He was making $23 an hour as an IT technician, struggling, trying to figure out how to get into networking. He went through my program. He gone through the training, did the technical stuff, all that stuff. He ended up getting a role, making 85K per year as a network admin, right? Which is good money. 85K per year is good money. Then guess what? 10 months later, he finally got a role at Amazon making over 6 figures, right? And he did this in literally under a year, right? So think about that. You can move up quick. The problem is how fast you want to move and how willing are you able to do it? Because it is possible. People do this all the time. The problem with a lot of people is either they get comfortable or they're not willing to move up, right? They're not willing to put in the work at the end of the day or seek a mentor. Because Ty would decided, hey, I want to seek a mentor. So he reached out to me, I helped him out, got him to where he needs to get to. That is the best way. I had a mentor. My uncle was like, hey, I was trying to go for like basic IT roles, right? My uncle was like, hey, why don't you just go for networking? I was like, I don't know, I'm not ready yet. Apply for the job. He told me to apply for the job. I ended up, applying for it and getting the job. So that one mentor of mine helped me get a role. So why are you not willing to invest in yourself? Because if you think about it effectively, If you're making an extra 20, 30K per year, compounded every year, right, and invested every year, and guess what? The more you make, the more you can put into your 401k. It's actually going to compound with the stock market growing to the point where it's actually you're losing so much money and opportunity in terms of the opportunity of missing out in terms of the higher salary, right? In terms of the opportunity cost of working at your current role. So you need to get out of your current role as fast as you can. Maybe you're working help desk. Stop being comfortable working help desk. Help desk sometimes a trap. You're making 50, 60K per year. You're making cool money, maybe depending on your market, and you don't want to leave. You should absolutely leave that company. Don't to get that higher salary. Yes, you should, because the opportunity cost of what you're missing out on is huge. And you need to be able to take advantage of those opportunities because guess what, guys? Tech is one of those fields where you can go from 50K a year to 100K a year to 200K a year. It's possible, right? You just got to be around these circles. And when you're around these circles, saying I make 180K per year is not crazy. I thought it was crazy back then, right? Saying those numbers, but now it's not that. It is not that crazy anymore. Once you're around these people who are already making that type of money, it's just like a normal number. Yeah, I make 150K, but back then I was like 150K. How's that even possible? How's that even possible? Right? But you just got to be around those circles. You got to have a mentor who's already there and learn from them, right? Or be in a circle of community that are already there. And once you're there, guys, you're going to be comfortable making that salary. And the best thing I love about once you make more is that you never really want to dip below that. Let's say you once you make 75K a year, you never want to go below 75K a year. Once you finally hit six figures, you never want to get a job below six figures. So your confidence is going to be so high to the point where you're going to reject offers that are for 95K or 85K. You're like, oh, I can make 110K. I've done it before. And that confidence will always push you to go higher and higher and higher. And that's how people are able to bag positions and even have the ability to negotiate salaries. They're not afraid of negotiating, right? Once you get to higher level positions, you're going to be comfortable negotiating salaries, right? Because you have the skills and you have the ability. But to only get there is it's a grind to get there, and it takes work. And once you do the work, and you finally get to the point where you're able to make six figures in tech, I promise you, your life a lot changes once you make the six figures. In my opinion, the biggest thing that's going to change is your confidence. You're going to be like, you know what? I can make another six figure. I get another six figure job, right? And that's going to be your new low. I just had a conversation with a student that I helped, right? He was working at help desk, stuck, right? I don't know, maybe making 40, 50K a year. He got an 80K a year network administrator job. Now his new low is always going to be a network administrator job, making 80-ish K per year. That's his new low. He's raising the bar. And the more you raise the bar, right, the more life-changing that's going to be for your career, because you're always going to tell yourself, I can always get a better job. I can always do more, right? Instead of having this kind of mentality that is I don't know, I can't get a job. I'll just go for this help desk position because that's what I'm worth. No. Once you tell yourself, and really, you're going to just have to get the confidence and the ability to tell yourself, you know what, I can do it. And once you've done it, I promise you, it's going to be it's going to be like a light work. So that is what I tell people, and that's what I help people in our community, is helping people get into the field of networking to be able to finally break the illustrious six figures. Because once you break the six figures, guys, it makes a big difference in tech, man. It makes such a big difference, right? In terms of financially, right? In terms of your confidence, in terms of your ability to say, you know what, I can do it, right? And that's the biggest thing. So make that leap, make that jump, seek a mentor, seek someone, be in those communities of people who are already making good money in tech, and talk to them, right? Go to cities where there's lots of people in tech. Go to Seattle, go to San Francisco, right? Go to Atlanta, go to New York City, go to Dallas, Texas. These are big tech hubs, and seek opportunities there as well. There's so many opportunities in these big cities, and being in these big cities, you can meet people who are making decent money in tech, and that can maybe raise the bar for you and tell yourself, you know what, maybe it is possible for me. So that's just my recommendation. Like I said, we have a whole program, link in the description, where we help people go from zero to landing their first job in tech as a network administrator, technician, or engineer. If you guys are interested in that, it's link in the description. We help people go pretty much teach them the technical training and how to pass an interview. If you're interested in that, link in the description. We help so many students already do this, and we'd love to help you as well. So if you guys like the video, give it a like. If you guys want to subscribe, and peace.